Alright guys, welcome back. In this one we're going to be talking about hyperlinks. Before we get into our lesson, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to be installing an extension called Live Server. If you remember in our previous tutorials, what we did was every time we changed something, we would save the document, then come into our web browser and refresh. Right, that takes a lot of time, so there's an extension that automatically refreshes the browser for you whenever you save. It's called Live Server. It's available on Visual Studio Code. All you have to do is come to the Extensions tab, search for Live Server, and click this by Ritwik Day. Created by it, the author is Ritwik Day, and install it. I've already done that. So after you have this installed, all you have to do when you create an HTML document, if you want to preview it automatically, what you have to do is right click on the document and click Open with Live Server, and then your website and then your HTML document should automatically open in the default browser. Then anytime you save, the browser will automatically be refreshed, so it saves you time. Now I've already done that, so I'm not going to install it, but this is for your information. So let's get into our lesson. Today we'll be talking about hyperlinks. A hyperlink is basically the essence of the web. It's what makes the web the web. When we click on a link, it takes us to another web address. These addresses that you see in your search bar at the top of your browser, these addresses are called URLs. A URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. It specifies where something can be found on the internet, right? So a hyperlink takes you to another web address. A web address is what you see in the search bar at the top of your browser. It's called a URL, and it specifies where content can be found on the internet. Next, we'll talk about anchor tags. A hyperlink is created by using the anchor tag in HTML. If you remember, you've seen this in the previous tutorials. You wrap any text within an anchor tag, and then the text becomes a link. Now there are two attributes. There's an attribute that you remember from previous lessons. The first one is the href. href stands for hypertext reference. So if you remember our previous lesson, in our previous lessons, you've seen how we created our anchor tags. We set up an anchor around a text that says back to top, or forget that. Let's talk about this example. We'll get to that later. We set up an anchor tag with the text to Wikipedia link. So now Wikipedia link, this text turns into a hyperlink. And then in the href attribute, we pass the actual URL that we copied from the browser search bar. So now when we click on Wikipedia link, it goes to that address. Alright? The second attribute is called the title attribute. You can add info to an anchor tag by using this title attribute, so that when the user hovers over a link, it will give them information about that anchor tag. Let's take a look at an example. Let's say we select this anchor tag with the Wikipedia link. if we add a title attribute and we say this takes you to the wiki page. Okay, I save this. Let me open live server, go live, and you'll see that now when I hover over the Wikipedia link, you see the info, you see the title. It says this takes you to the Wikipedia page. So that's what the title attribute does. A link can be used for taking you to external content on other web pages, like you've seen before, like we just used the Wikipedia link. It can take you to internal content on your own web page, like how we did in this example, where we set up an anchor tag that said back to top, and it went to the ID of the element, which was the h1. If you remember, when we clicked this, it linked us back to the top part of the web page. Why do I have two open? Okay, never mind. And finally, you can turn block level items into links. For example, you can even turn an image or an entire container of items into a link. So let's work with links a little bit more. Let's practice that. So let's go back into Visual Studio Code. And now that I have live server running, the live server extension, anytime I close this, anytime I save, it will automatically refresh the browser, and I should get the latest changes. Alright, so let's set up a navigation for our web page. Okay, so we come in to our body, and let's add a navigation tag. Remember semantics, that's why we're using a navigation tag. Alright, so we'll say navigation, and a navigation tag will contain a list of items. You will, and we'll add list items into it, and each of these list items will be a link to a different part of a page. Right, so we say list, and we'll copy this list. So we're going to have 3 list items, let's say. And inside here, we'll use anchor tags. And we'll say this first one is workx. So when we click on this link, it should take us to the workx section. When we click on another tag on the next list item, we'll call this projects. This will take us to the projects section. And we'll create another link. And let's see what else we have in our page. Actually, we don't have any more links on our page. So let's just remove this. And put that basically here. We'll provide that functionality here. Okay? So we'll say home. We'll put home at the top, and then workx, and then projects. And now we'll say this one, we'll provide the ID for the top heading. So this ID is, we've done that already over here. for home, we'll call it go back to this top heading. So we do that by hashtag top heading, right? We'll do the same for workx. So we'll come here into our workx and we'll say id is equal to workx, and then we'll add that link here, hashtag workx. We'll do the same for projects. Come in here, id is equal to projects, and we'll add that link here, hashtag projects. Now when we save this, you'll see that we have a navigation, a list of anchor tags. So when we click home, it comes down to this heading. When we click workx, you can see it takes us to the workx section. When we click projects, it takes us down to the project section. But it doesn't really scroll more than this because this is as much as the page height will be, because this is all the content we have. So that's how we set up a navigation. The same way we can link to different parts of a web page, like linking to a paragraph. We've already seen in the previous tutorials how to link back to the top of the page. We've seen in the previous tutorial how to link to an external page by providing an anchor tag and passing in an external passing in a URL of that page. Now let's see how we can use that to turn an entire block level item, like an image, into an anchor tag. We do it the same way like we do it for text. So what we do is we'll create an anchor tag and we'll say this one takes us to HTML. Let's search for a web page. We'll just say, okay, this one takes us to this website, okay? So let's copy this link, paste it in this anchor tag, and we'll put the entire HTML image between these anchor tags. And we'll save this. Control. We'll save this document, and now when we click on the image, you'll see that when we hover over the image, you'll see that the mouse changes to the click hand. That means now the entire image has turned into a link. So when I click on the image, let's close this. When I click on the image, you'll see it takes us to the page. So great, there you have it. You've seen how to create a navigation menu using navigation tags. You've seen how we can link to different parts of a web page. We can even link to external web pages, and we can turn even images into links. So that's it about hyperlinks. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.